I want to ask you about the Bitcoin slash
Yeah.
crypto boom that we've seen over the last couple of years. I mean, it's problematic at best in so many ways.
Can we do the face? No way. I cheer for you daily. This is not a debate.
GaryVee is in the studio.
Yes, I do have an out of the blue quick take. Always be grateful. Always push yourself for the next ambition. That's cool. If you do not love losing, you lost.
I feel I can't lose. I feel I can't lose. I'm mortal,
To me, it's about living within your own self. I think the biggest issue for so many people is they over worry about validation from the outside, whether it's about their appearance, whether it's about how much money they make, whether it's to make their parents proud, which is a nice thing. The only way to actually get to that place that you really want to get to is putting your fingers in your ears and living in your own world. The cocoon you create for yourself is the place that you can be most happy, because when you actually need outside validation, you will always be vulnerable.
Brand new coupe and it just got tinted, but I just got the
Right now
top
we're going to be going to Dubai to record an interview. Dubai is mostly like the business channel. So basically we're just talking to them about your book, why you're here in Dubai. So this is recorded. And then you're going to go live on Chris Fade. And last time they did something super fun.
You surprised that
That girl.
Were you surprised that girl? You were hiding underneath the desk. And then we're heading over to the Arts Club and we got YPO. And then we have like a big crypto get together with some of the key people from the industry. So it'll be fun.
We finna charge. East side, that nigga love it. West side, that nigga love it. North side, post blue pleasant.
Some people don't maybe have the disposition, or perhaps they don't react well to the kind of dopamine levels that get released when you chase kind of attention, if you like, on social media. What do you say to people who are kind of struggling balancing that?
That long before social media came along, humans struggled with that balance. Dopamines have come in many forms, including interacting with other human beings. This narrative that is quite popular, which is blaming technology for your struggles, is a losing game. I want to remind everybody who's listening that only 30 years ago, we would blame the television. We would blame magazines showing models at 90 pounds as a bad force. And all the things we today try to point fingers towards social media platforms, which I want to remind everybody are completely empty vessels that human beings fill information with, is something that has been historically true. There was a time and age that I could have sat in this exact studio in the 1960s and you would ask me questions of, Gary, what do you say about the situation where we have the Beatles and Elvis disproportionately impacting children and believing in this rock and roll thing? This is human evolution. We continue to be incredibly infatuated with finding ways to point fingers towards the current without pointing thumbs to ourselves and leaning into accountability and self-awareness of how to deal with the macro. And I think I'm very empathetic to people's concerns about the amount of time that children and other humans spend on this platform. I want to remind people that there is incredible good from those things. There are people who spend time FaceTiming their elders in different countries because of technology and social media. So I think we're in the current state where we're looking for the shortcomings of the platform, which of course there are, because human beings have shortcomings.
We're live. Good morning, 8:02. GaryVee is in the studio. Throw it up, something in my cup. What the fuck? That shit had me stuck.
Can we talk about accountability?
Yes, sure.
Yes.
Like, talk about something the world desperately needs. We want to blame the algorithm. We want to blame our parents. We want to blame the government. We want to blame everything. Yep. We have become addicted with pointing fingers, and nobody wants to point the thumb at themselves. I believe most people's unhappiness that are listening right now are completely predicated on their lack of accountability. If you are unhappy, you are actually in a position to fix it. If you're listening to this, you are of the means to fix it, right? Like, you're not happy about your boyfriend? Break up with him. You don't like the country you're in? Move. And here's the point, whether you're right or wrong, your mother might be poisonous, but the second you take control of it, you become happier. Like, I think everything is my fault. I'm logical to know that not everything is my fault, but the default of thinking everything is my fault actually makes me happy.
It was fun.
So fun. All right, we just banged out a bunch of radio, and it felt good. I've been out of practice, you know, haven't done a lot of content in a long time, and so I always feel fresh. I think for a lot of you, even Mike, when I'm working out, says a rest day is sometimes good. Even if you love what you do, the concept of just taking a break from it, just to re-like it, is interesting. And I always feel that when I haven't been on stage or I haven't done podcast or content, and I'm enjoying that high of like being back on track.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for turning up. You say a lot in your book and in your content that you care more about happiness than you do about business, yet you're so successful with business.
I'm fascinated by humans' delusion that money buys happiness. I guarantee every person in this room knows several extremely wealthy people who are remarkably unhappy. And so I think that for me, living within your means is a conversation that has been long lost. Again, looking around the room, some of us might remember the concept of living within your means, but that is a lost art. People live in debt and they just live. And so I've always been very fascinated by the concept of happiness because I think it's extremely achievable when you are capable of not needing outside validation. So I think a lot of people are incredibly vulnerable because they need money to buy things to impress people they don't even like. Truly achieving happiness creates longevity. Salmon. Let me tell you what the biggest vulnerability of NFTs are. It's the reason Beanie Babies collapsed. Anything that is built solely on the financial interest is always doomed from the beginning. So many of my friends are starting play to earn because it's a psychology, right? It makes sense. The problem is it's actually a commodity. It wasn't a commodity when it was Axie Infinity and nobody else was doing it. It becomes immediately commoditized when every day there's 600 play to earn games being built. So I think what you need to think about is play to earn is nice, but how you fill that bucket and why people are gonna care about those characters is the whole thing. You know, for me, VeeFriends is an intellectual property exercise grounded in NFTs. It could have been grounded in books, it could have been grounded in toys, it could have been grounded in video games, commercials, cartoons, movies. It just happens to be grounded in NFTs because it was the opportunity in front of me. I think that's how you have to approach your play to earn business.
Absolutely amazing.
Thank you. I definitely believe that people are struggling to admit that their digital life is more important than their physical life because it seems challenging. It seems like that's bad. I had a friend who really came at me on the NFT thing, a good friend, and like a fun way, like a fun, good debate. He's like, this is the stupidest thing you've ever supported. It took me 6 seconds to win the debate. I said, you've asked me to get you a blue check on Instagram for 3 years. I'm like, why? Why do you want a blue check on Instagram? Because you just told me this is stupid because you can't hold it. You can't hold your blue check. You value your digital presence so much that you think that's validation. We always demonize the current and we put the past on a pedestal. So I definitely believe that people are misunderstanding their digital life, but they're living it.
So I skip straight ahead to the bread part. Topped out, I'm cool on the chit.
What's good, everybody? I am here in Dubai. D-Rock is here. We're in the region. We love all of you. I hope I run into all of you, and I miss all of you. Happy, happy, happy day. I don't know if you know this, D-Rock, but I'm one of the great Frogger players of all time. So we're about to play actual Frogger on this highway, and I can tell you right now, I'm gonna dominate these Dubai cars like nobody's business. Nervous. No, I wasn't. It's a good photo.
Keep it playing, keep it pushing, keep them guessing, keep them looking, keep my people out the booking, cause we legendary. I just talk it how I live it. If I said it, then I meant it. If I did it, then I did it, cause it's necessary. Keep it G and keep it true to you. Just act like this ain't new to you. I treat it like it's usual, we legendary. I just get it how I live it. If I said it, then I meant it. If I did it, then I did it, cause it's necessary. Look, all my niggas.
What do you think is the next thing? We had mobile phones right now. We had computers and tablets and personal assistants before that. Where do you think the next big thing is? Because they're stagnating right now. Smartphones are
very stagnant. I mean, Apple's phone is basically the same. I don't know, because it's not a space to spend a lot of time on, but what I would tell you is I'd be stunned if we don't evolve into robots. Stunned. I think in the next 100 years, if you show me a human being, I'm like, that's a robot. I think I personally know dozens of people that would implant into their body technology.
Yeah, I've done that already.
You have?
Yeah.
How so?
Chip.
You have a chip in your body right now?
Yeah.
And what are you tracking?
Nothing. I just use it for payments, for card exchange, things like that. They do it in Sweden. It's nothing new. There are some countries that are actually doing biometrics even for payments, like in the
Your
UK.
fingers, yeah.
I love it. I would do it.
General, hit the coast of Florida, feeling sorta like a Seminole. No exaggeration, all my literature be literal. Little do they know I do it.
Shit, what's
I
that?
know.
They're all lining up for you, by the way.
And what am I doing? A talk?
Yeah.
Amazing. It's not hard to produce content for 6 platforms. It's really not. It's that people fear lack of success in numbers from a vanity standpoint, which stop them from actually doing it. So I think humility is one of the true superpowers of a scaled influencer or content creator. Being okay with starting at 0 or being okay if the content's not doing great. Yes, it's important to be contextual to the platform, but not at the expense of your authenticity. So I'd rather you deliver the way you would deliver on Twitter and LinkedIn, on TikTok, and let the chips fall where they may, than for you to not be who you are. And so the biggest reason people didn't go to TikTok when they were winning on Instagram was they didn't have the humility and the self-confidence to not be successful on TikTok immediately. Cheers. Thank you. Having your self-esteem wrapped up in outside validation is always the greatest vulnerability. Do everything for yourself and your family, not to impress people that you don't even know.
Special announcement, special announcement. If you don't get the joke why I'm pointing up, you need to follow me on TikTok. Anyway, check out the Monday to Monday this week. It's a playlist GaryVee and I update every Monday. And this week we have a special artist. His name's Chico Curly Head, okay? GaryVee and I just went to Atlanta on Monday. We met up with Lil Durk. Chico Curly Head came with us, and Chico's super special, okay? He dropped a new project. Go stream it. You'll see what I'm talking about. He's from Panama, lives in Atlanta. One of the songs is called How It Goes, and on the hook he says, I'm from Atlanta, you know how that goes. And if you're from Atlanta, you already know how that goes. So check it out, you know, let us know your feedback. Anyway, back to Weekly V.
I'm from Atlanta, you know how that goes. You see how we get it, you see how it goes. Yeah, hey, you see how we
Where is the line between being satisfied and being ambitious?
That's a great question. Satisfied is a complicated word. What I would argue is being content and grateful for what you have and not envious for what you don't have while still being ambitious is a different way to think about being satisfied. Being satisfied, I actually think, is too close to be complacent. I think when you are content and grateful for what you have while still staying ambitious, that's a better and more sustainable framework. Never be satisfied, always be grateful, always push yourself for the next ambition.
Amazing, thank you so much.
Cheers.
I know that a huge crowd was waiting for you down.
Thank you.
Gary, Dr. Marwan was explaining to you this car.
This is an art card that I told you about.
Oh, this was it.
So this is the car. This is the artwork, and it's dynamic artwork. So there's an augmented reality part of it, which is actually moving. And also, you drive the same car in the virtual world as well.
It's very cool.
What
Cheers.
would be amazing if we could have this signed by you?
Sure, happy to do it.
You see how it goes. Yo soy el pana trayendo ese flow. Ella me mira diciendo hello.
Always approach everything you hear that is new with maybe, because I think what you're feeling from a lot of your friends right now with Web3 is the world is intoxicated with seeing new things and answering no. And what has boded so well for me over the last 25 years is I go maybe, then put in the work, and most of the time come up with a conclusion of no. It's when you come up with the conclusion of yes after you started with maybe and you did the homework where all the magic happens. So approach every new thing that you hear with the concept of maybe, and then have the humility, this is the big one, have the humility to put in the work, because your time is not as valuable as you think to pass on the next thing that's gonna change the world.
I'm currently 19 years old, alright, and I started my business. I took a gap year from my high school because all of my friends, they're in colleges right now. So what do I do right now? So like, should I be continuing my business? Should I do college? What would you suggest for me?
You should continue your business.
And not do college?
Well, a couple things will happen. One, you may be unsuccessful with your business and you may decide that you want to do college. And as long as you have the humility to be a 22-year-old freshman, then you can go to college. College will always be there. The number one thing that holds back people from doing what they want is valuing the judgment of other people. As long as you have the humility to be a 22-year-old freshman in college, then you should do your business. And again, what's putting pressure on you is the way your friends are living right now. But I always believe that somebody else's life really has no impact on yours. You chose this for a reason. Don't bail just because it's inconvenient.
Because I wanted to do something different than literally everyone is doing.
Well, the question is, are you doing it because you want to do something that's different, or are you doing it because you want to do it?
Both.
Well, good. Then you're perfect. I thought it was D-Rock. I was like, D-Rock, come on.
GaryVee, welcome to Smashy Crypto Show.
Thanks for having me.
There are a couple of concerns about the metaverse and this word, which is like data security, for instance. And another thing, you always talk about positivity, good values as well. Will that be there in the metaverse? Like, it cannot be controlled, maybe?
One thing that will never be decentralized is human behavior. Of course there's going to be bad behavior in the metaverse. There's bad behavior everywhere. Humans are flawed. People do things when they're unhappy. People do things when they're desperate. And so I think it's fascinating to watch people judge platforms for things that humans are actually doing. Social media hasn't changed people the way that people want to say it is. It's exploiting the truth, which is people are showing their true actions. And that will happen in the metaverse. It is super lovely to be with all of you. Thank you so much. The rules of the world on when you should have your life figured out, when you should be married, have children, make money, buy a home, and everything else are based completely on when people live to 45 and 55 years old. Period. The problem with that is we're living to 100. The concept that a 25-year-old should have everything figured out is laughable. Most 60-year-olds I know don't have their life figured out. Why are 25-year-olds putting such pressure? I think that we have societally done a very poor job to our youth. One of the great reasons I struggle with the way that education is sold in our society is we train kids from a very young age that you will be judged every 90 days on your actions. I think it leads to very, very vulnerable behavior that maps to our adulthood. So yes, I think that way too many people are judging themselves in the short term. Yes, I believe that if you are 63 years old, you still have 30 years to achieve fulfillment and happiness. And I think it's time that we have a totally different conversation around age, to the point where, in actuality, the fact that we pressure children into starting to get serious at 22 is actually ludicrous. 22 to 30 should be wild, high risk, high reward behavior, because it's practical. Because even if you blow it and nothing goes well, you can start getting serious at 30, 35. And so we ask people to, now you're a grown-up, get a real job, and all this other ludicrous behavior that I think has really hurt society. I think it's quite depressing, for lack of a better word, that there are people that are 40 years old, still have 60 years ahead of them, and they think it's over. I think that needs to stop.
Pile and paper got them talking nice to me. Down the bottle, it be going right through me. Brown baby down to take a flight to me.
So I just did a CNN piece with Becky talking about NFTs. You know, when you're talking to the mainstream media, majority of people watching are hearing about NFTs for the first time. So you're really trying to go to 101, and you're also trying to answer a lot of the skepticism. Most of her interview with me just now was a lot of like, it's a Ponzi scheme, right? Like, you get a lot of that. And I understand that. And I think that's the trials and tribulations of being a communicator in new emerging technologies. People always face them with cynicism, especially with the amount of money that's being thrown around. down. For me, these are huge moments in my career because you're really putting yourself on the record, no longer just in digital, but really in the mainstream media. And I get excited about these moments because I know that I get to look back at them in 5, 7, 12 years when these things play out and it becomes a I told you so moment. Or mentally, and this is important for all of you to hear, I'm always prepared for me losing my fastball. Like, is this gonna be the thing I'm wrong about? And I have to be mentally prepared for making unbelievable amounts of content in 7, 12 years if NFTs don't hit and talk about what I misread. Why was I wrong? But this is very clear to me. The macro of the consumer blockchain and NFTs is 100%. 99% of the projects are gonna fail. There's a gold rush, there's a lot of greed right now, but that's no different than internet stocks in 99, the pets.coms of the world. And so I continue to storytell in Dubai, on the vlog with D-Rock, on CNN, or anywhere else that they'll have me. That's cool.
I don't understand it, how they got so timid. Told them I would do it and I overdid it. I don't do the bass cause I don't got the minutes.
I'll be very honest with you. I feel more as an artist than I do as a businessman. I'm incredibly empathetic to people thinking that I might be forcing that narrative because I'm doodling now, but I've always spoke about being an entrepreneur is more being an artist than a business person.
It's like being characters and all that.
But even forget about the literal, like I'm an artist. I innovate. I create. My advertising agency is profoundly artistic. It is an enormous company, one of the biggest agencies now in the world, and it literally, this is not a joke. It literally does something nobody else does. We are completely social media first, up to television. We completely disagree with everything. Covers of magazines say I'm wrong. Like, I'm an artist.
Yeah. You know, like the perception from the people and how you cannot be an artist and entrepreneur at the same time.
I know. Meanwhile, I think the best artists in the world are entrepreneurs, and vice versa, by the way. And honestly, I think my art, more than anything, more than the doodles, more than the entrepreneurship, I think when it's all said and done, my art is going to be in the way I communicate it to the world.
They don't want no static, better get the signal. Earning all these coins, it ain't coincidental. Tell them free the doggies, keep them out the kennel.
I know you're big on NFTs and
Yes.
working on something. Any advice you can give at all? Like,
I think the biggest problem right now is everyone's thinking about what's in it for them and not what's in it for the people that buy it. I would spend every second on what's in it for them, why is it gonna work for them, and the more that your energy is selfless instead of selfish, the more likely you'll put together the strategies that actually make the project successful.
Yeah.
Everyone's so greed oriented now. They see the gold rush, which is why they're gonna build projects that are not gonna be meaningful. So yes, I do have an out of the blue quick take. Think about them. Them.
Hey y'all, so at this point in the day it's around noon in Dubai, and this is the day after Gary's interview with CNBC dropped on all channels. So Gary's seeing the early numbers from the US. It's not even 5 a.m. in New York and the video is already going super viral. You might have seen it around.
I want to ask you about the Bitcoin / crypto boom that we've seen over the last couple of years. I mean, at this point, it's an avenue not just to make a lot of money or lose a lot of money, but it's also an avenue for money laundering, and it's also a place where white supremacists apparently are taking options. I mean, it's problematic at best in so many ways. How do you see what's happening in the crypto space today?
I don't think the crypto space has any more problematic issues than the internet, society at large, mainstream media, Wall Street. I think it's a new avenue of innovation, and I think every avenue of innovation has good characters and bad characters. So how do I look at it? I look at it as a new platform where consumers and humans will evolve, and all the good and the bad that comes along with human behavior will play out on the platforms.
Or maybe you've seen a couple memes made out of it. And so this is when Gary is starting to see the early reactions. He's starting to realize that this clip has some traction, and this is what he has to say about it.
It's gonna have like a lot of views. And just like the whole tone of it is like, this is all bullshit, and it's the least bullshit of all time. I mean, this reaction is, I just know consumers. You know me, I don't give a shit about any of my shit. I'm reacting to the reaction.
Yeah.
It just hit a tone.
I've been all alone, I ain't never need nobody else. I'm at a top floor, sipping margaritas off the shelf. Wish I had some competition, but it ain't nobody low. Hit a drop kings, I bet 100 on myself. I've been all alone, I ain't never need nobody else.
That's unbelievable.
So you might have done cryo chambers, I don't know if you used one before.
I have.
That's say 140 minus
This will feel colder because of the sheer volume of air.
God, it's interesting.
If you guys want to have a go, we can
Let's get in there, D-Rock. It'll be some good content.
World's largest cryo.
Okay. You want to jump in?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's go, D-Rock.
Okay.
How was it?
Phenomenal.
Yeah, that's great.
I know, but you weren't cold?
No, I mean, listen, you walk through New
There
York.
was a lot of competitive juices in that kind of shape. Somebody was willing to die.
All the 20s come around, I bet she love it. Ay, boosting up my ego, can't be seen in public. This a brand new wheel, so please don't lean on it. AMG, this bitch came with some strings on it. She said that I'm toxic, but want me to put a ring on it. AKA her favorite color pink, but she like green on me. We gon' throw a party.
Why did you first start diving?
My father was a commercial diver, and if you have been in Stockholm, there's a museum called the Vasa Museum with an ancient shipwreck that sank. And he took me up there and showed me this one, so that's when I got hooked, and I said I want to do the same.
That's cool.
And I actually discovered an even more famous shipwreck than he did. It's called the discovery of the century. In 2011, I spent 20 years to search for it, and then I found it.
Come on, that must have been an incredible feeling for you.
That was, you know, when you spend
20
so many
years and then you
yeah,
found it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
everyone said that it was impossible because the Navy searched for it, or the treasure hunters, or the big companies tried to search for it. And then we found it.
And is there gold and all sorts of crazy shit down there?
Yeah, the crazy thing is that it had 4,000 gold coins, it had 200,000 silver coins. And
Jesus.
one of these silver coins is valued to 13,000 euros.
Wow.
So imagine the cost, but it's all protected and down there. If this ship would have sunk 500 meters to the east,
Yeah.
I would own that.
No way. Is that true?
Yeah,
because
it would be outside the territorial waters. So that's how it is. But to be honest, to find this shipwreck, it was never
worth.
about the
Yeah,
money.
it was right. What a story. Thank you for
Thank you
sharing.
for appreciating
Yeah,
it.
thank
Yeah,
you for
yeah.
sharing it. All right, good news. I found the turtle's father. And we've made peace. Me and the turtles are good now.
It's okay, no beef
It's
anymore.
all family.
Yeah, no, all good.
This is not a debate. You get more with honey than vinegar. You may be confused because when you sell fear, you're able to get very quick micro results. It's not a sustainable framework. And so I think there's an evolution. The problem is most leaders today are scared to deploy soft skills because they're dealing with a couple of things. One, it's not the environment they grew up in. Two, they're incredibly worried about the entitlement of the young generation, so they're scared to give them even an inch, which is a really interesting tightrope. But if you can nuance it, you can actually get a lot more from it because, for example, in my 1,500 person environment, I had an employee come to me asking for 1 year paternity and maternity leave because Netflix and Facebook did it. It was because I deal with such kindness and all these frameworks, it allowed that meeting to be 3 seconds. I explained to her that Netflix and Facebook make more money in an hour than our company makes in a year, and the meeting was over in a positive manner because everything else is so positive that when they get any level of pushback from me, it lands better.
Something that you do to me, do to me. Got me feeling like it ain't nothing new. 'Cause I got money on my mind, shooters are behind. Been through the mud and now I'm growing in sunshine. Got it out, he like that hustle when I wear it out. These diamonds better front ain't no cloud. Don't worry about what I'm getting out, 'cause it ain't no doubt. I'm whipping that shit, flipping that shit. I'm the bitch that you've been hurt. 'Cause my shoes, bags, baby, Dior. And I don't wait at the store, they waiting on me, of course. These others need it.
Herm, show me where to line.
That's you, bro.
Don't touch it.
Sorry, I'll make it work.
Yes, that would make it work.
Big on me, feel like the
people's biggest thing that they're missing is humility. Everybody wants to act like they're successful. Everyone's spending more energy thinking about how to take a photo that makes them look successful than actually becoming successful. The way you're going to be in a 9-to-5 this young and build an empire is going to be about patience, execution, humility. Like, it takes a lot of work. What's up, bro? It's good to see you.
It's so cool to see this in person. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, man.
So good to see you, bro. I'm proud of you.
I appreciate
Keep
that.
pushing.
Genuinely.
You really got good vibes.
I saw that you were coming to LA, so I was like, bro, I gotta stop by. I really appreciate it.
I'm really proud of you.
Thank you,
Keep pushing.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Stay patient, too.
I got you.
You're so young.
I got you.
You got so much opportunity.
I really
I see a
appreciate
lot of light in you.
I'll make you proud.
You already made me proud.
I appreciate
Just keep going.
Thank you, brother.
D-Rock, you gotta see. Yo, grab him.
Yeah, you gotta get that on film.
I got an official deep friend from the man himself.
All right, let me read this. One, how do I bounce back?
You got it, you got it.
That's the only question I ever have.
It's a really simple game, bro. You have to allow yourself to be okay with grieving, and when you're ready, you're ready. People demonize grieving. You should grieve as long as you need to. Everybody will tell you the wrong thing on this. You're allowed to grieve, bro. It's tragic. I tell my team all the time, when the real shit happens to me and I lose somebody I love, be prepared for me being ghost for a year. I don't know how long it's gonna be, but I'm not gonna be tough guy come in the next day. Allow yourself to grieve. Don't worry about other people's opinions about your grieving. Grieve. Get that shit out, swim, meditate, eat, do whatever the you need to do. Grieve. Give yourself permission to grieve. You're a young dude, you got plenty of time.
got me crying.
It's a pleasure, bro. Just grieve.
This is the incomparable GaryVee. He's gonna come up, put your hands together.
It's good to be here. Hope everyone's good. Just want to chop a little bit on NFTs and music. 20 years ago, people signed deals fast. Now, they sign deals a little slower, right? People are a little bit more thoughtful, trying to build more leverage. Once everybody in this room and this space understands what I just talked about, it doesn't matter what the language is going to say. You're never going to sign a deal in the first place. When you just know, like, yo, let's just sell it to our fans. When you have 7 million followers on TikTok, you're going to find 10,000 people that are going to give you $800 for a piece of your back end. $800 times 10,000 adds up. This is what every artist will aspire to. People, instead of aiming for a deal, will settle for a deal if they weren't able to sell or big enough fan bases. So now you're doing the royalty thing. With music, think about how it's gonna work out. This is why the artist is gonna win twice. So now you put out the NFTs for the percentages of the back end. You pop off. Now, people are just gonna run math and be like, okay, this artist hasn't even hit the apex yet. They've got historical data. I think this artist could be #1 for another 13 weeks. They're gonna run back the math, figure out what Spotify's kicking you. They're gonna be like, I'll buy his NFT for 50% more than it is right now because I know I'll make it back in 15 weeks. And so you bought an NFT for $400 to get a piece. Now you're selling it for $4,000. You made some money on royalties and you sold the NFT for $4,000, but the artist gets $400 on that transaction or $200, depends on what the math is on the royalty. So there's double royalty economics for the artist. The contract they make money on every time it transacts, and obviously the royalties of the music. So now artists can be playing in 2 places. Is there any utility?
Tons of utility. Festival, building dinners, monthly meetup. We have
For Green Street.
Yes, for the NFT project. Yeah.
Smiley face. Oh my God, Mr. V. Mr. V. Did you see what I did there, D-Rock? I incorporated the V into the hair. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
la parte atrás, voy a calentarte.
What's up, man?
GaryVee, man. My name is Flink Johnson, actor, comedian. You inspiration, motivation, you tell the real shit. I'm a procrastinator, and I be up, bro, but you say the right shit. Can we take a picture, GaryVee? Fuck the procrastinator. GaryVee,
thank you, man. Looking sharp, bro. You looking good, bro.
I stole it. This jacket came with an eviction notice. It did. Thank you, brother.
My dude, keep that humor going.
It ain't no thing to do my thing, it's what I do the best. I feel my mattress, pay my taxes, then I blew the rest. And it's okay to do.
What's up, boy? What's up, legend?
Yeah,
How you
doing, brother?
Hey, fam. Great to see you.
Hey, my pleasure, man.
Congrats on this,
Always a
bro.
motherfucking treat. Thank you.
So proud of you. That 360 shit is crazy. I'm so proud of you, bro.
What we gonna do now?
Gonna get number one again. Make it number one again. My man. Real pleasure. Good to see you.
Get the game, learn the game, play the game, sell the game, all that.
Oh, D-Rock. Oh.
Change all that. Feeling myself, they be feeling me too.
I love it. For real. I cheer for you daily. Daily, for real. You know it.
No, bro.